Did we talk about China outlawing Bitcoin mining? Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, we talked about the. Hard drive. Extra. Oh no, $100 off an 8 terabyte internal solid state hard drive. Only $750. 4 terabyte version too, but I need an extra. The biggest fruit one. Oh, you like my repeat. Like the word space. Let's just at and then a space. How do you have a space in your on the roof? Is it really a boss?
Being picked up, okay. And some people are really bad at understanding the concept of a liminal space. And what they'll do is they'll tag an image that isn't liminal as liminal, so, which would explain why a bot would pick it up. So it would be scrolling through the web looking for images that are tagged as liminal spaces, and it would just be posting it at whatever the interval is that the bot's assigned to post it at. Every few hours, every day, whatever it is.
Weird.
Yeah. I mostly follow bots these days, to be honest. My feed's been a lot better since I've prioritized that.
Huh. Is it, hold on. Hold on. Oh, what?
What?
That's weird. Someone said it was the Shantae video game's 19th birthday, which is basically true, but it came out June 2nd.
Oh, okay.
Not June 20th.
They're just a little late to the party.
Yeah. And now my browser seems to have crashed.
Oh no!
Maybe just that tab. Weird.
Yeah. You know, sometimes liminal spaces too, like if the pictures are good enough, right? They take them like really, really eerie looking. They almost look like something that you'd see inside your dreams, right? Like there's certain areas that I see a lot. Like I'll see the halls of my old high school. I'll never see inside any of the classrooms or anything, just traveling the halls, and they seem to just wind endlessly, never going to the actual destination in which they're supposed to be going. Or maybe I'll be inside like a really old dark office building that's like maybe similar to the back offices where my dad used to work. And I mean, but it looks like any office building anybody would be familiar with it. And it's the same thing. It's like you're just going from room to room. Sometimes the rooms connect to other rooms instead of having halls between them, and it's just endless winding of spaces. And all of it's familiar, but yet none of it is at the same time.
I'm not quite as fascinated by those things as you, I think.
I think I'm fascinated by the psychological aspect of it, like what those type of things mean to the human mind, why we pick up on those things. It's kind of like the whole uncanny valley effect. Like, why is this important? Why do we have this kind of like this particular form of pattern recognition built into us through evolution?
I don't know.
Yeah. Like some people have thought like the uncanny valley thing, because one of the things too is like we're trained to pick up faces, right? Not just like our own faces, like other people, our family. Like the first thing you ever recognize is your mother's face. It's almost like it's imprinted into you before you even see it. But we're trained to recognize faces, so people see faces even where they're not. And one of the reasons people thought about it is like, well, there were a lot of things that were vaguely like humans, but weren't quite the same as us, like other humans or hominids that were around at the same time before we drove them extinct. That would have been competitors and even predators towards us. It would have been in war and stuff. That it would have been very beneficial to be able to pick out an enemy's face right away, knowing that it's like your family's face, but it isn't.
Right.
Anyway, that was our preamble. Welcome to the Vomitorium, everybody, for the weekday show of the 22nd of June, 2021. As always, I'm your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. How you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. My nose is not running everywhere. I don't even think it's allergies, to be honest. Like I said, I think a lot of it had to do with just like really quick weather change, as well as my internal climate, because it was like really hot when I went to sleep, and then the air was on when I woke up. So it's just a whole bunch of like pressure differences probably caused it. Because I'm feeling just fine now.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it was hot today, so it was raining for like 2 weeks straight, and then today finally hot and sunny. So I got all sweaty, and I took a shower just before the show.
Yeah. Speaking of
been hot.
liminal and uncanny, that's how the weather is today. I went for a walk earlier, and it kind of had like that dreary, um, like London overcast vibe to it, right? Where there was just enough sun that you knew it was daytime, but it was still kind of gray. And it wasn't raining, but every so often you could feel a drop come down on you because the sky was just that heavy and wanting to start crying.
Yeah. Well, it was a cloudless day here.
Yeah.
So Elric wants to know what were we talking about and involves the uncanny valley. I think we were talking about the concept itself.
Yeah, yeah,
being a
but
thing.
we got onto it because of liminal spaces, which when you see an eerie one, that definitely falls into the same general category as the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Like, dude, sometimes when I'm bored at night, like, and maybe I'm working on something, I just need to put something on to watch at the same time. I'll just go and I'll find videos that are just like montages or walkthroughs of like liminal spaces set to like really eerie music. I don't know why I like it so much, but there's something like, I don't know, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I think it helps me try to explain like why I dream of places like that, you know? Like I'm trying to figure out like why does my mind want to like things like this? Or more so, maybe it's trying to warn of something, and if it is trying to warn of something, why is it trying to warn me of something like this? What's the danger here?
Yeah. I always dream about people, and I'm always in a house or a car. So I'm always like in an enclosed space, and I'm always with people. It seems to be always what I dream about. Various different scenarios, but almost always in a house or in a car, and always with somebody. Don't know why.
I don't know. My dreams are just wildly inconsistent. I have no idea what it's going to be from one day to the next.
I mean, my dreams are wildly different, but just I'm never like out in the open for some reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like once I remember having a dream where I was in the house and I left the house and then I was like out in the street, but that's rare.
I'm out in the open a lot. I think though it's also because I am kind of a adventurous person, so I do think like whatever happens in your dream state is very reflective of your own life. And being as somebody who actually goes out on foot very long distances quite a bit, I've even gone hiking through like the Texas desert before, just on like retreat. I have like those imprinted notions in my brain, so it just adds to the catalog of things that I might encounter during that time.
Yeah, interestingly, whatever house or car I'm in, I never recognize. I'm always in a strange place.
It should be, because your brain wants novelty, right? Especially during dreaming, because I do think dreaming is not just a way of processing, but I think it's a learning circumstance. It's running simulations of things that might happen, things that your brain thinks you might run into. So a lot of times, like maybe you'll encounter a social situation that's similar to something you've done before, but you haven't crossed, and it's trying to prepare you for this circumstance that may or may not ever happen, right? It's kind of like the idea of what's that French term? It basically means the call of the void, where you'll be walking on the side of the road, and even though you personally don't actually have the urge to do it, there'll be this like thought in your head of like, oh, well, what if I walked to the road and got hit by a car? And you're like, why did I have that thought? And it's like your brain killing off modes of operation that wouldn't be very functional for your survival, right? So I think you do very similar things in your dreams as well. And so you don't want the environment to be perfectly the same. It'll just probably use things that you know of and then just rearrange these patterns into vaguely similar but different areas.
Yeah.
So take like if you're in a house, it'll take concepts of what your brain thinks a house is of all houses I've been in, and let me mishmash some things together, and this is house.
Yeah.
Interestingly,
I often remember a lot of details of dreams right after I have them, but then they fade.
That's very common.
That's normal.
I actually remember like the details of my dreams for extremely long periods of time, as long as they're interesting. I think I've said this
Mm-hmm.
before, but for me, dreaming, the memory of it is no different than a normal memory. So I'll remember a dream I had years ago if it's as interesting as any other memory from that time that I would still remember that many years later. But most of them just fade because I don't care about them.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe it's because your brain is always looking for patterns. Like we're wired to look for patterns, mostly for our own survival and progress. And I don't think that stops just because your body's asleep. Because you typically during dream state you are unconscious for a bit if you count the fact that for just a little bit the prefrontal cortex turns off, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
after the few phases of sleep, once you get into phase 4, into REM sleep after that, the prefrontal cortex turns back on. So I would assume all the same processes that it is normally engaged in would be what's happening while you're dreaming. And since a lot of that is
Mm-hmm.
pattern recognition and stuff, I do think that is probably the main purpose of the dream, is to run scenarios for the sake of your survival. Now, a lot of people's lives are just mundane, so the scenarios that they're running for their survival are mundane because social survival then becomes the most important part of your life, not like, oh my god, I have to be able to kill this boar that's chasing me.
Mm-hmm. Alex says he had a dream last month that he was in his house, got blasted, and the pop sound was so loud it woke him up, but it was just his neck.
Wow.
I don't know if that means like he got shot. I don't know. He says
I've
this is
been
why in video games have patterns.
no, this is not why enemies in video games have patterns so we can fight them better. Though, I mean, in some areas specifically, yes. If like beating the enemy is the puzzle in the room, but games are trying to actually make enemies less and less predictable to make it more engaging. The reason they have patterns for the most part is due to limitations of the software. I mean, the artificial intelligence that you're making this enemy only has so many options it can do. But that does create interesting and engaging gameplay depending on how your combat system works. Like, Zelda enemies have patterns specifically so you can pick up on the patterns, because Zelda is a very puzzle-based game, and even combat should be a puzzle. But then you have things like first-person shooters where some of the bots will have set paths, but they're trying to be a little less predictable because you're trying to actually act like somebody out in a real battlefield.
Yeah.
But man, I remember one time in one of my dreams, I was slapped so hard it woke me up, and I still felt it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, Pete woke up suddenly one time, and she think like in pain, and she thinks she got bitten by a spider or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Just remember it. Yeah, she hurt her neck. She kind of snapped awake so fast. She thinks she got bitten.
Just the concerning part for me is that I was home alone at the time that I was slapped so hard in my dream that I woke up and still felt it. So I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. We're stealing Rick's view. Well, Rick should be done by now.
Yeah, he knows what time we're on. I'm not. He's even made this comment too. You can't schedule around each other because otherwise nobody ever gets this stream. So
That's right.
tough luck.
But he should be ending his stream and sending everyone here.
Yeah.
Definitely. He needs to schedule his time around us.
Yeah. But I think the most interesting thing we could talk about today, because I actually think it's a positive thing. Well, there's two things that I think are actually good. One thing that you and I were discussing that isn't a positive thing. But firstly, Scooby-Doo. Because I think this is a crossover that should have happened well over a decade ago. And it's the Scooby-Doo and Courage the Cowardly Dog finally meet. They get their crossover. And I remember when Courage was running originally, which is a great show. I love Courage. Not my favorite cartoon of that time, But I know a lot of people, especially in our circles, are really big fans of Courage specifically. It's like, maybe it was Eagle, or back when Evan was still hanging out with us, a lot of them, like, that was their favorite show. When it was running, it was like, he's a cowardly dog, Scooby-Doo's a cowardly dog, they're both owned by Hanna-Barbera. Why aren't we getting, like, a full-fledged crossover with these two characters? And I was expecting by the end of its run, maybe even you'd probably let a couple years sit or whatever, probably somewhere around 2009, I was expecting that there should have been a Scooby-Doo Courage the Cowardly Dog crossover. And there just never was. And we're finally getting it. I believe it's coming through Sci-Fi Channel. And the gang is going out to the middle of nowhere. So it's going to be one of those, the threat is actually real, kind of like Scooby-Doo. Most of the Scooby-Doo movies are like that in general. Zombie Island was a big one that was like that. But even the older ones, like that were more comedic, Reluctant Werewolf, Boo Brothers. But actually, Boo Brothers, the threat wasn't real. It was just that the ghosts that were trying to hunt the threat down was real. It was still just a man in the mask at the end of the day. But a lot of times there's an actual real supernatural element to the movies of Scooby-Doo that I think the only time we really saw that in the show was 13 Ghosts. And this is going to be one of the time where, because they're going out to the middle of nowhere where Courage is, the supernatural stuff is real. It's not just a man in a mask.
Yeah. But it looks, to answer Elric's question, it looks like 2D.
Oh, yeah, it's 2D.
It looks
it's
like
animated.
Fairly...
Classically.
Yeah.
Almost. Digitally, but
it's
to
not...
look classically.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't look like CGI.
It's direct to DVD, too. Which is probably why, because you were complaining about Shaggy's voice, and I did look up the voice actor, and his, what was his name? I actually just had it up. Scott Ines. And he is the voice of Shaggy a lot, just in video games and other direct-to-video things. It's like when you can't get whoever the main voice of Shaggy is at the time. And I'm not even sure if they have a main voice. I mean, they're not running a Scooby-Doo show at the moment. They've just been doing a bunch of video release things. Like, ever since they did the Scooby-Doo WWE crossover, it's just been, like, video release after video release. So I haven't even watched some of them. He may be the voice in there, too. Matthew Lillard, who was the live-action Shaggy. You also know him from the movie 13 Ghosts, which is honestly kind of ironic. And a bunch of other things. Without a Paddle is actually my favorite movie that he was ever in. Very competent actor. Ever since he's been playing Shaggy. He also replaced Casey Kasem as the voice of Shaggy. He was very, very, impressed by his impression. So he's been doing it for a while. And I don't know if he's just off the roll because they haven't been doing a show for a while. They haven't casted it. He wasn't the voice of Shaggy in that Scoob movie, but almost nobody was the voice of whoever they normally are voiced by, right? Except for Frank Welker was playing Scooby, and Welker isn't playing Scooby in this one. Scott is, who he also often plays Scooby in video games and other direct to like DVD things. And that might be the case. It's probably just like, this is something that people have wanted for a while. Sci-Fi had the opportunity to put it together. So you had to get all, like, most of the second stringers to come in and do the roles.
Yeah, when I played the trailer, the first thing you hear is Shaggy's voice, and I was like, oh, that doesn't sound right. Sounds a little off, but oh well.
Yeah, the only person that isn't a second stringer that I can see is BJ Ward, who's been voicing Velma for quite some time. But she hasn't been the primary voice. She's an older one. Like, going back to Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, I think was one of the last times she did it. So I think she was kind of like pulled back to do the voice of Velma again.
Alric asks, is Muriel and Eustace in it?
Muriel and Eustace, Elric's spelling is just absolutely awful. Yes.
Muriel and Eustace.
Eustace Baggs. They are in it. No, those I believe are actually voiced by the voice actors that played him in the show. Muriel is the owner of Courage, the cowardly dog, and Eustace Bagg is her husband and the owner of the desolate farmland that they live on, who is not very fond of Courage and likes to tease him all the time.
I never saw that show.
Oh, that show is great.
But I was a big fan of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, they're both voiced by the actual actors that played them. I believe Courage is as well. Let me double check.
So does Courage solve mysteries, or what's that show
Kind of. It's very similar, but it's also not, right? So they live out in the middle of nowhere, where strange and spooky things happen. And so there's always some type of threat to his family. And Courage is a very cowardly dog, as the title implies. And he has to try to find some way to resolve the situation, because Courage is... yes, actually, you did spell it right. Courage loves his family. And he doesn't want them to die to aliens or ghosts or giant insects or whatever's going on that episode. He'll even be like, the things I do for love. And that's kind of the thing. There's just some weird supernatural thing happening. And he just has to, like, scaredly work his way through the problem. It's less of, like, solving a mystery. And more of just confronting danger. But it has a lot of very similar elements, except the opposite is it's not some man in a mask. It is an actual supernatural thing happening.
Yeah. Was this show on in the 90s?
No, that's why
you're
missing it. This was during the aughts. It started in 2000.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Or I think it was like 2002,
no, it's
maybe?
this first episode. That was the final
final was
episode.
2002.
The first
Did it start
episode was
in the 90s?
1996.
Wow, yeah, that's earlier than I thought.
Yeah.
Man,
So
I
was in college.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, like, in college, that's when I got into watching Rocko's Modern Life, but
Dude, I love Rocko's.
I never got into Courage. So, yeah, my roommate in college loved Rocko's Modern.
No, Rocco's great. There's so much. Courage had a lot of adult humor too, but that wasn't the main focus of the show. The main focus was bringing aspects of horror to a younger audience, because you didn't really have that type of horror, uncanny valley content for people that age. But Rocco, like, I watched that with my dad because, like, there was so much just adult humor in that show that everybody could enjoy it.
Yeah.
Kind of like I used to watch Ren and Stimpy with my dad too. You know, he loved that. He always actually usually preferred the shows that aired on Nick, which Rocco did at that time, as opposed to the Cartoon Network, even though classically he was a big fan of Hanna-Barbera before that. Like, you know, he liked Johnny Bravo, but he didn't really like most of the other Cartoon Network shows. But all of the Nick shows, there were a lot of, like, elements of experimentation to them that you didn't get on the other networks, like with, like, Real Monsters and things like that too. Or another one I used to watch with him was Angry Beavers. Angry Beavers was a very wild show as well. And it's, I don't know, they kind of lost their, I wouldn't ever say they had an edge. But they were close to it as far as, like, a kid's network goes. Especially letting something like Invader Zim on later. And they kind of just, like, lost that edge over time. And I think SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents becoming the two most popular things on the Nickelodeon network ever are probably why they lost their edge.
Yeah. Well, apparently Elric is a big fan.
Yeah, I liked it. Dude, actually, he mentioned a name. That's my favorite episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog, which is Doc Gerbil's world. And it was about this this gerbil. He was like a door-to-door salesman trying to sell him a vacuum cleaner. But what he was really looking for is basically he was making a zoo where he was experimenting on people, right? So what he did was he sucked up Muriel and Eustace into the vacuum cleaner and took them back with him. And he was putting like suction cups on Eustace's arms and stuff. So instead of hands, he was just walking around with suction cups. And, he was experimenting on them and putting them into like little exhibits. So Courage had to go bust into his facility. But the entrance to his facility was like, it's a small world. Like you were going to go on tour of all the things he'd been doing. So like it's this tense, dangerous situation, but it just keeps cutting back over to Courage in like a boat on a river trying to get into the facility. And you just keep hearing, it's Doc Gerbil's world. It's Doc Gerbil's world. And I was just cracking up every time it did that. Like that show had such a good pace of juxtaposing just ridiculously hilarious shit to horror. And it's because this ridiculous stuff is put next to a horror thing, it makes it even funnier due to the contrast. And like the writers of that show were excellent at timing and pacing that stuff.
So you think it's going to mesh well with Scooby-Doo?
Oh, yeah. Like, I thought this crossover should have happened, like, back in the aughts, man. Like, in the late aughts, they should have done this. And we're well over a decade late now.
So when is this? So you say it's direct-to-video.
That's what it says.
But is it airing on Sci-Fi?
No, it's just it's going to be released digitally as well, so you could watch it online. But other than that, it's just going to be direct to DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah, I mean, who buys DVDs and Blu-rays anymore?
I don't know, man.
How are the rest of us doing?
But yeah, it's digital platforms. I don't know what Sci-Fi is partnered with, so I mean, there's probably a good chance it's going to be on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just called Straight Outta Nowhere is the name of the crossover.
Is that what Sci-Fi is on Hulu?
I don't know if Sci-Fi. I think Sci-Fi does their stuff on Hulu. I'm not sure who they do things with.
Yeah, it's unclear where you're going to be able to watch it.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out when it comes out, though. When is it coming out? Oh, September.
Yeah, just September. I don't see a direct date. I just see September.
I see September 14th.
Oh, okay. You got it. Now, I'm looking at the bottom, too, but it says maybe they did a different voiceover just for the trailer, because that's what the cast I'm seeing. Because I'm reading down at the bottom, it says Frank Welker is going to be voicing Scooby, and Matthew Lillard is voicing Shaggy. But it's not the stuff I was able to find for the voices in that trailer. I don't know if they spliced the trailer before the movie was done, or what was going on.
Maybe.
Kate Micucci, who has been voicing Velma for a while, is voicing Velma again. And Frank is also voicing Fred, who he's been doing that for a while as well. It looks like the normal voices that have been doing it.
Yeah, Greg, Griffin.
Yeah.
Daphne.
Maybe they were just so excited they needed to get this trailer out before they had everything done. I don't know.
I guess so. Interesting.
I do think Matthew Lillard does an excellent voice of Shaggy, though. Like, I liked him when he played him in live action. And hello.
Well, Elric seems interested. So, yes,
hello.
It'll be $15 on DVD on September 14th. Hey, dog. I shared your video from last night. I don't know if anybody else went and watched it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, in fact.
Okay.
Excellent.
You guys sound great. Thank you for sharing that video, Marsupial. You know, you were there. You were in the video.
I'm aware.
We had a lot of fun,
kind
Metal. You should have came down.
Oh no, I saw the conversation topic and like this is like the dumbest and most boring conversation you could do a stream on. I don't want anything to do with it.
No, you're thinking of Zelda versus Mario.
No, I was thinking of the artist versus the writer debate. I'm like, God, that's not even a conversation.
You just get to shit on everybody. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly Nasser. Mostly shit on Nasser. That was the best part.
Yeah. I mean, specifically, if we could say we shit on mainly one person, it was either going to be Shabby or Nasser.
Yeah. An artist and a writer. There you go.
Elric says, I hear all three of you.
I would hope so.
Good.
I mean, if he could hear any of us before,
Well, I don't really have any skin in the game.
he hears everything that I hear. So
Yeah. You don't have any skin in the game, John, because you're both.
Yeah, because I do everything. What am I going to be on? Like on the side of a person? No. I can see things clearly and unbiased.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly and unbiased, you know, I was right.
well, that's another reason why I didn't want to be a part of it is because I just do all of my own stuff. I'm like, why does this argument even concern me?
So, John, who would you?
Yes,
who would
sir.
who would you cast in a live-action Snow White movie?
As the huntsman?
No, as Snow White. Because I don't know about you, but the
I
first
don't
thing
really
that comes
know
to
any
mind,
fresh face actors right now.
the first thing that comes to mind for me would probably be a dark-skinned Latino woman. I think that would be the best option for Snow White, don't you think?
Yeah.
Sure.
To represent the fairest in all of the land.
Well, it's got
That's right. Yes. Someone like, say, Rachel Zegler. I don't even know who that is.
like Wesley Snipes.
Yes, or Wesley Snipes. He would be perfect as Snow White. Because apparently Disney has cast someone for Steven Spielberg's upcoming... Oh, wait, no. She was in Steven Spielberg's upcoming West Side Story, but now she's Snow White. And apparently...
Wait a minute. Who was she playing in the West Side Story?
Maria.
Probably Maria, yeah.
She better not be playing no Hispanic. I'll tell you that.
Why not? I think she is Hispanic. Do they need to get a white girl to play Hispanic in West Side Story? Or Wesley Snipes?
Wesley Snipes.
We just get Wesley Snipes to play everyone.
That's right.
What are you, racist? Of course he should play everyone.
Of course.
I would rather have Terry Crews play everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I seen Wesley Snipes in that. He was in the latest installment of the Expendables, and he's looking real frail.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look like he used to.
Well, apparently...
Same with Antonio Banderas. That guy looked meek in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he was never a big, hard body, macho, a tough guy. But he was always in pretty good shape, and he just looked very, very gaunt and not a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he is old. It happens.
I'm assuming that has something to do with it.
I assume so. So apparently, our good internet friend Data Racer 117 has compiled.
I have no idea who that is.
You don't know Data Racer?
No.
He's compiled somewhat of a dossier on this character Rachel Zegler, who has called for canceling Jeremy Renner, called for deplatforming J.K. Rowling, and encouraged violence towards her, bullied Gina Carano online, says all conservatives are racist white supremacists.
So, like, just your average Hollywood person.
Yeah. And encouraged lots of other people to bully Gina Carano.
Yeah. That doesn't sound like anything special at this point.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a picture of Rachel Zegler right now. She has one of those round faces that you would immediately picture as Snow White. 'Cause you don't picture Snow White as like an Aurora, like a long Sarah Jessica Parker style face. She has a very short face, button nose kind of deal. However, she is very black.
Yeah, and Snow White is white as snow.
Yeah. I think they mixed up the line that said hair black as ebony as the skin.
Yeah. Completely got it flipped there.
Yeah. Well, anyway, she's a horrible person.
But I don't like her face. She reminds me of Christina Ricci.
Oh, yeah.
She has that,
I like Christina
that
Ricci.
big. Yeah, I don't like Christina Ricci. She has a horrible, ugly face with a big, humongous forehead, and she probably should go hide somewhere.
Yeah, but she would make a good Snow White because she's very pale with dark hair.
No, Christina Ricci's in her 40s.
Yeah, she would make a bad Snow White. Unless for some reason you're making some movie about, like, old lady Snow White at this point. You're like, oh, yes, my daughter is coming to age and doing her thing now.
Yeah.
Maybe if they could pick someone to be a Snow White. Well, no, and she wouldn't work either. Never mind.
Does she have eyes that bug out? Or why does she have eyes that bug out, says Timothy. Who, Christina Ricci or this other person?
Also, isn't Snow White supposed to be like
both
14?
of them?
Probably.
Yeah. They should have got who they should have gotten her when she was young was iCarly. She could have been a good Snow White.
Miranda Cosgrove. Yeah.
She would have been perfect.
I don't know her actual name. iCarly, the girl from iCarly.
Yeah. Well, apparently both of us know is her actual name, so.
Yes, I was a huge iCarly fan.
I was sad
to
Rick and Josh.
I liked her in the School of Rock. She was good in School of Rock. She had that bitch face.
She was good in that.
Speaking of which, I was really sad that Jeanette McCurdy was not in the iCarly reunion.
Oh, she wasn't? I didn't watch it.
Isn't Jeanette McCurdy like some girl that was like heavily molested and didn't want to be in and she like abandoned Hollywood?
Yes.
Yes. That is true. So
yeah,
I don't
want to
blame
be a part
her.
of. I wouldn't want to be a part of any of that shit if I was her.
Oh no, I don't blame her whatsoever. No, and that's fine. It was just sad that she wasn't in it.
Yeah.
But I totally understand why. That wasn't her fault.
Did she ever come out and say whether it was directly related to the Dan Schneider stuff?
No, she didn't.
Okay.
And I don't even know what the Dan Schneider. I mean, I'd seen the Dan Schneider accusations, but I don't think, and none of it seems to have been corroborated or any evidence. So I don't know what that's all about. Do you know that he was? Did you ever see Better Off Dead? The movie Better Off Dead?
Maybe.
No.
Dan Schneider played the most hilarious character, Ricky, in Better Off Dead. That was just a hilarious movie.
Yes.
And I was surprised to learn much later that was the same guy. I love that movie.
I mean, comedically, Dan Schneider was great. He had a lot of things. He would show up in some of the skits from time to time and all that. He was one of the writing power behind a lot of the shows that he was producing. It's just, if
I like
anything is
Victorious.
true, it's a shame.
But it wouldn't be a surprise if it were true. It is Hollywood, after all. And they're all terrible, terrible people. Probably even Miranda Cosgrove. She's probably terrible.
Oh, probably.
Who knows?
I mean, he did play one of my favorite characters in Good Burger.
Dan Schneider did?
Yeah, he was the guy who owned the place. He's Mr. Bailey.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, Dan Schneider. I mean, he was already a little portly back in Better Off Dead, but even within like the couple years between those two movies, he put on a lot more weight.
He was huge in Better Off Dead.
Yeah. He was even huger in Good Burger.
Yeah. Big guy.
Yeah. I'm gonna rewatch that movie. Good Burger, that's such a good movie.
Yeah. Well, on a lighter note, we have other lighter topics, I think, that we wanted to get to.
Like
Specifically
Sonic the
regarding-
Hedgehog.
Yes.
Yeah. So I haven't had the desire to play Minecraft in probably a decade. I think that's probably a fair assessment. It's probably been a decade since I wanted to play Minecraft. But for Sonic's 30th anniversary, Sega and Minecraft teamed up, and they're making an entire, basically, Sonic the Hedgehog game in Minecraft. Now procedurally generating Green Hill Zone. It's not the normal game, even though you play it through the game. You load up as Sonic characters, and you're in, like, the classic zones, Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant Zone, and stuff. And you're running through 3D space as fast as Sonic would actually run, just everything is blocky, like Minecraft. And it actually looks really fun.
It does. I'm just wondering, like, okay, so in the DLC, it's basically like a pre-built world that it plops you down in, and you can basically just run it like as Sonic. Is there more to it than that? Did they add blocks? I mean, what's the story here?
Did you not watch the trailer?
Chaos Emerald? Well, not really.
Oh, I watched it.
I watched it for like a minute.
The trailer's only 1 minute and 16 seconds long.
Okay, well, I watched it for a few seconds.
Okay, that sounds more accurate.
Yeah. But it looked cool the few seconds that I watched.
Yeah, it looks really fun. I mean, it's kind of ugly. Not the world. The world looks fine because old video games were blocky. The characters look ugly because of the way they have to be rendered in Minecraft. Yeah, you can show it if you want.
It keeps playing before I'm ready.
But I was just like, God damn. Are they actually wanting me to play Minecraft? Like, this is a good excuse.
Yeah, so it does have rings.
Yeah, to me, this looks better than any 3D Sonic game I've actually played. Not in visuals, because some of them look really good, but like in the way the game controls and plays, it looks better.
Yeah, it looks like a 2D, but you can do the behind the shoulder or whatever, behind the back view. Hey, look.
Yeah,
Knuckles.
and you can race with each other.
And that guy.
That's the Shadow.
Shadow, right.
Yeah.
Oh, and Amy? Is that her name?
Amy Rose. Sonic Stalker.
It looked like you could do even like first person mode.
Yeah, well, because you can in Minecraft, so why not, right?
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Eggman.
Dr. Robotnik.
And it looks really fun.
So that didn't tell me any of the things that Tails is in it too. That I was asking. Can you build with it? I mean, I guess maybe they say.
I don't know. I don't know if you can.
Presumably. Presumably. So it just looks like a lot of new skins and new blocks and characters characters and things like that you can play with. So, yeah. I am also not particularly interested in playing Minecraft, but if you want to play it, I'd be interested to watch.
Yeah. My only problem is, so I don't know if I have to rebuy Minecraft, because the only thing I own, and that's if I remember my credentials, is I own the old original Java version of Minecraft. I do not own it on the Microsoft Store.
Oh,
and I don't know how that
you have to
operates.
have the Microsoft version?
I don't know. I don't know if you can access the Minecraft store from the original version of the game. I haven't downloaded that
Yeah, you
game in
can.
forever.
Oh yeah, I've got it.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
sure
I
you
haven't touched that
can.
game in like a decade.
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, there are some differences, but yeah, you can pretty much get anything that's available for one version is available for
Oh,
all.
okay, cool.
Actually,
I don't have to.
wait.
I mean, it's only like $20 anyway, but whatever, you know.
It says specifically the DLC is available today on all platforms supporting the Minecraft Bedrock Edition, which is, I think, the Java version.
I don't know the names of anything. I just know I have the original version of the game.
That should be the Bedrock Edition. So it
also
might
have to-
actually not be available on the Microsoft.
I also have to remember what my credentials are for downloading it. I do remember that I have a skin of myself, though, with like my gi and everything.
Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong. It does need the Minecraft for Windows. Wait. Okay. All right. I'm confused. It's so confusing because there's like 50 different versions, right? Okay. Bedrock Edition is basically any of the consoles or the Windows 10 version or mobile.
Oh, okay.
Java Edition is not Bedrock.
All right, so I'd have to buy it again.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. That's
So, yeah.
horrible.
Are you sure? Because I have the version on Windows 10, and I don't think I paid for it. I thought it was free, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I don't know. Why would they give Minecraft away for free? It's the most valuable thing that they've ever sold. It's also the best-selling game of like all
Yeah.
time if you're only looking at the game sales.
Well, because they're trying to sell the DLC and stuff, right?
I don't know,
I mean,
man.
the DLC's not free. I don't know. You'll have to
Make
look
me
it up.
open up
I
the
have the
stupid
Windows
Microsoft
10.
store.
Yeah, I have the Windows 10 version. Flit says, wait, Sonic plus Minecraft? Are we witnessing the coming of an autistic extinction level event?
Possibly. Yeah, Minecraft. Oh man, the Windows 10 starter pack or whatever it is like $30. That's $10 more than I paid for the original. Oh, it's a collection though. Can I get it without a collection?
Apparently, no, it is $30 for the Windows 10 version.
All they have is the starter collection.
But
There's
it's,
no other version.
yeah.
No. It's
Interestingly,
27. There's something in the starter collection that's worth $2 more than what it's actually sold at.
Well, anyway, it's unclear. Of course, I can
not
just
doing
open
that.
it myself.
Screw it. Sonic's not worth that. Even as fun as that game looked.
Yeah.
No, I'm not buying Minecraft again. Overall, the game sucks. I'm not getting it just for a DLC.
Yeah. Yeah, that would probably be interesting for all of like 5 minutes. Anyway.
I'll just wait till they... Well, they're probably going to do a crossover in Phantasy Star as well. They did last time. There was like a Sonic thing going on. Not even that big of a fan of Sonic. I really only like the original games and the advanced ones. Kind of like the 3D Sonic games have all kind of sucked. Except for the music. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 has amazing soundtracks because of Crush 40. But other than that, the games actually suck.
I think the last Sonic game I played was Generations on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah. I like Generations
it-
because it was like, you know, all the fun stuff was 2D.
Yeah, I liked playing it right up until it got to the part where you had to play the 3D stuff. I was like, oh, I hate this.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get to the store for the Java version and see if it's actually available there. But anyway.
Actually, I don't think I've played Minecraft since Windows 10 has been a thing. Does the original Java version even work on Windows 10?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Absolutely does.
Because I haven't touched it, so I have no clue. You know, like from personal experience, like I wouldn't have to. I'd have to take your word on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have it. It works. It works just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have
I'm
much
sorry, I
else to say.
can't.
So
I
what
don't
else
know what you guys. You guys are using a lot of acronyms. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Acronyms. I'm
I
trying to even think if we used an acronym.
don't think so. Well, what else is happening?
That's about it.
That's
As far as
all.
like interesting,
next
like interesting
Transformers-
things that happened today, that's about it.
The next Transformers movie is going to be based on Beast Wars,
Oh God, that sounds awful.
if you care.
Well, that's the only Transformers TV show I ever watched.
That's
there you
my
go.
least favorite incarnation of Transformers.
Apparently, Optimus Prime will be in it, as well as Bumblebee. Mirage is going to be transforming into a Porsche 911 instead of an F1 race car. RC from the Bumblebee movie.
But why isn't it Optimus Primal?
That is a good question. I don't know. But the Maximals are going to be in it. Aerosaur, Rhinox. Oh, Optimus Primal is a different character. Is Optimus Primal different from Optimus Prime? I always assumed they were the same character.
I agree, Flit. Beast Wars was terrible.
Anyone?
I barely remember it. I saw some of it not too long ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, because I was walking through the living room and Travis was watching it, and I was looking at it too. It's like, man, this animation has not held up at all. This show looks fucking awful.
I think you're just being mean.
No, it does look horrible. Like, it looked spectacular at the time because most other things weren't doing that, but it's aged very poorly.
Okay. Because it was all CGI, right?
Yes, the entire show is CGI. But we're talking
Yeah.
like, what was it, 90s CGI? When did that show come out?
Right.
Like very early 90s?
Yeah. Yeah, back when I can understand if it didn't age very well. But yes, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts is releasing
Mid-90s,
June
it was
24th,
96.
2022. Yes, it's releasing in 367 days. So we have a while. But John liked it. So that's what's important.
I didn't say I liked it. I said I watched it.
Oh, okay.
It's the only one that I ever actually like, saw playing on TV while it was actually on TV, you know?
Yeah.
Well, so Elric is asking if they changed Optimus Primal. I mean, it looks the same. It says he turns into an ape. But it's confusing as to whether Optimus Primal is a different character from Optimus Prime. I never watched Beast Wars, so I have no idea. I don't know what the official canon says about
I don't
that.
remember it.
Maybe
I
they
remember
all.
watching it when it was new.
Maybe they.
I just don't remember it.
Yeah. Alec says they are the same. So maybe they start out as cars and such, and they all get transformed into beasts
Beast Wars was boring. There were no
at some
people.
point.
It was just the Transformers, and they were all animals. And a lot of time it was just them walking and talking to each other. There was hardly any fights. You might get like 1 or 2 per episode because it was so expensive to animate the fights. And it was just like dialogue. It was nothing but dialogue in empty environments that maybe there was a volcano or something, but most of the world was flat because it was too expensive to render it. Like, that show has not aged well.
Well, hopefully the movie won't be like
Yeah.
that. Flit asks, and yes, we talked about the Factorio controversy with Cover-X yesterday.
Yeah.
Can't miss an episode, man. Don't miss an episode of the Vomitorium. We talk about everything. Ulrich says Dinobot was the only character who had character development. So there was just a character called Dinobot? That's confusing.
That's great.
Because there were Dinobots
There's
in
Arachne.
G1.
I remember that character. Or Arachne. I can't remember actually her name, but there was a spider lady.
Yeah, yeah.
No, what was the sequel?
I'm looking at
Because-
the cast of
what was
Beast
it?
Wars right now.
Was it Beast Machines, I think was the name of the sequel? They made another animated one that was like a follow-up show that took place in like this really like cyberpunk but desolate dystopian world. And it was like actually them versus more traditional machines, almost like they were back on Cybertron or something. And that one was a lot better. I mean, it was still It wasn't as good as any of the cartoon Transformer ones, but it was still a better show. The designs have aged a bit better, probably because everything was cast in shadows, so you could hide a lot of stuff. But even like the story arc was better. But still, there was like they weren't interacting with people, so the casting was very, very limited. And other than the fights, it was still just talking most of the time. So a lot of the same criticisms can be leveled at the second series afterwards.
You know what's interesting? This is a weird coincidence. So have y'all seen Transformers War for Cybertron season 1 and 2 on Netflix?
No.
No.
Because that's actually a really good show. I highly recommend it. War for Cybertron has had 2 seasons so far. The 3rd season is coming out next month at the end of July. It's called Kingdom. They name each of the seasons for some reason. And it's also based on Beast Wars. So it's going to have Maximals and Predacons.
No,
And
so
I
it's
bet
gonna
you
be
that
awful.
one's going to be really good. No, I don't know. Seasons 1 and 2 were really, really good. So I'll be interested to see if season 3 is good.
Beast Machines was terrible.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
You didn't like Voltron.
Flit
did
wants
you?
to come on. He says the war for Cybertron is total garbage. I can speak at length as to why that is.
He was saying it was garbage in the Cult of Raven chat. That's right. I hadn't seen it, so I was
No, he's
criticizing
wrong.
at the time. Yeah.
Well, if he wants to come on, he can defend his
He
position.
can do
But
that
unless-
tomorrow. We're running out of time.
yeah. Well, it's my contention that it was great and I loved it, and suck it. So I can't wait for season 3, which is coming out in a month.
What if the real take was Transformers was just bad the whole time?
Maybe. Of course, I liked
Never
Voltron
good
too.
Transformers.
I am not. Well, I'll tell you what, you come on and debate me,
Yeah.
and I'm betting that you're gonna think out and switch out for Sam Cedar, and I'm gonna end up debating him about Transformers. I bet that's a thing that's gonna happen.
Well, you know what's funny too, talking about debate was, and I told you this at the time. I actually do like Transformers as a property. I think they're cool. I didn't really enjoy that movie you and Rick made me watch. The rest of Transformers made sense because I didn't realize that there was a movie that happened halfway through the series when I was watching reruns because the movie never aired on TV. It's like, oh, that all makes sense now. But other than that, that movie was not that good, and it was heavily relying on like the licensed music that showed up in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, does anybody say that what is it,
Somebody was saying that
1984
it was good.
Transformers movie was good? I mean,
Yeah.
it was good for the time, but I mean, it was no masterpiece.
No,
And
the only
I'll
good
tell you,
Transformers there ever was is the Michael Bay movies. They were fantastic.
oh god,
They
See,
were
I
pure
actually-
schlock and trash, and they looked fantastic and a lot of action. And they kicked ass.
I didn't like any of them until Marky Mark was in it, but that's a conversation for another time.
well, I liked the first one, and I liked Bumblebee. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Anyway.
All the other ones sucked.
Thank you for joining us on the Vomitorium. If you enjoy the show, please share it with somebody else who might like it. And if you really like the show, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitoriumlive. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.